I was wondering which poor soul I'm going to tell this information to, but then I remembered you might click onto this video. Alright, so anyways, I might have accidentally opened up the biggest can of worms this channel has ever seen, because there are now updates to the Roosie files, and it's not exactly pretty. Basically, last week I made a video titled Chinese male celebrity scene in shambles after bipolar girl drops hookup allegations. And as the name suggests, an influencer, this is her, Si Xiao aka Roosie, made a post on Weibo on the 3rd of January saying that her life goal is completed because she's done the rounds on the top male A-listers in China. And then she proceeds to present numerous pretty convincing screenshots suggesting that she did exactly that. There was a few revenge postings, there was a few wholesome ones too, you know, actually, so don't know if you noticed. Our connoisseur has had her favorites, but unfortunately that little maneuver caused a widespread PR panic amongst the bigger stars of this current generation's male A-listers as they rushed to deny the allegations. And that's where we left off last episode, with supposedly nobody to stop her.
I didn't do it! Okay. Everybody just calm down.
And if it wasn't for this next move, C-Entertainment will continue to be in shambles, because on the 8th of January, Si Xiao aka Roosie, the girl who dropped the nuke, was sued by her own boss. Now, I want to bring your attention to this statement on what exactly the lawsuit is after. Okay, this is an official document. Essentially, the plaintiff, Wang Dafa, the boss of Roosie and the one who initiated the lawsuit, is requesting the People's Court to order the defendant, which is Roosie, to pay the plaintiff liquidated damages and economic losses totaling 2 million RMB. That's roughly 286,000 US dollars. Roosie makes a post, now you lose a boat. No, actually, it's pretty serious. Because right off the bat, it seems like Si Xiao's outburst did cause monetary damage to her agency, but that tells us jack shit compared to this statement, because it is just, I'm serious, it is something. It writes, "Today, on behalf of Si Xiao's media agency, I apologize to the public. She ignored the company's objections and made irresponsible remarks online, causing a huge waste of social resources and a very negative social impact. Immediately after the incident, my colleagues and I contacted her to try and stop her from continuing her rambling. She agreed to everything, but continued sending messages after hanging up. Unstoppable." After repeated questioning, it was learnt that she was in a bad mood that day, so she secretly took 40 tablets of Stilnox. Wasn't for suicidal purposes, she would often finish a month worth of medicine in just a few days to feel happy. Okay, now, when that part of the statement came out, this particular section that you see right here was used as a major point of attack to debunk its validity, because Stilnox is a prescription sleeping pill used for short-term insomnia. They keep them over the counter for a reason, you know, because if you take those in large doses, they send you to sleep for good. So let me make it real clear right now. Me and this video will not condone the misuse of prescription medication, including Stilnox or any other sleeping pills. But also, according to the National Library of Medicine, zolpidem, which is the same thing as Stilnox. Zolpidem is the drug name, and Stilnox is the brand name for zolpidem. Okay, so as I said, it's the same thing. It is said that in high doses, zolpidem use was associated with psychostimulant effects, such as the feelings of well-being, euphoria, energy alertness, sociability, and talkativeness. Which means, I believe contrary to what the majority netizens seem to believe, that part of the statement checks out. Okay, the talent agency then mentions that they tried many ways to help her with the PR the past few days, but during an internal meeting, we discovered countless lies Si Xiao aka Roosie has told us in the past. We're extremely disappointed, and we have decided to abandon our PR efforts and instead sue her. Pretty interesting how they just like, we tried, which is then followed by the freezing of her social media accounts. Okay, so the letter then ends with an apology to the public, with the celebrities impacted, and with a sign-off as, hope Si Xiao can break free from her addiction to harmful substances as soon as possible and return to a normal life. Hashtag Wang Dafa, who is her boss, sues Si Xiao. Now, I know that statement is a lot to unpack, so that's why Wang Dafa, the boss, dropped another right hook as she makes 2 10-minute Douyin posts for the sole purpose of explaining in detail why she sued her ass. I'm going to tell you that story in chronological order, but first, I'm going to tell you the scope of what we're discussing today. She begins a TikTok with a quick self-introduction and then proceeds to set up 4 combos, okay? 4 burning questions that the public is demanding an answer for. As we can see, the questions are shown as: Number 1, is the relationship between Roosie and the male celebrities real? Number 2, why does Roosie know so many male celebrities? Number 3, Why aren't the male celebrities actually suing Roosie despite, dropping all these PR statements probably? Number 4. Why did Roosie go crazy that night? Because all these allegations were dropped in the span of a few hours on the same day. By the way, I am dead ass right now. This is going to be a wild ride. So let me get business out the way first. Valentine's Day. What are we thinking? Because I feel like I've reached a stage in life where I prefer practicality. That really matters for me now. See this baby right here? This is an extra wallet. This is like an electric car version of a wallet, okay? See this button right here? Slides all your cards out, in and out. Quick and easy access. Like hypothetically, you're on a date, you want to flex that Amex Black, you're like, babe, chill, I got this. It'll be the most effortless flex in your life. But also as someone who's ADHD as hell, this wallet comes with a tracker that links with your phone, which is a lifesaver for all the times I spent looking for my wallet. But also comes with an Apple AirTag pocket in case you prefer to use that. And it comes with lifetime warranty. Now, if you're getting ready to travel, their travel vacuum bag that comes with a portable pump will be an essential to have if you're always worried about luggage space. It's designed to be the perfect carry-on size. It's waterproof, zipper's heavy duty, and it will work like a charm every time your luggage gets too cramped. So if any of this sounds exciting to you, your partner, or your really good friends, grab it in time for X's Valentine's Day sale where you can get up to 40% off plus another 20% off with my discount code. Eska also offers an 100-day money-back guarantee just in case, so feel free to check out using my discount code. But remember, it's Valentine's Day sale, so limited time. Okay, I hope I can explain this. So the first allegation addressed is why did she go crazy? Now, according to Miss Wang, the CEO of the talent agency, the trigger did not come out of nowhere. She says it traces back to where Si Xiao, Roosie, kept coming to her asking to borrow money. She then shares us a screenshot of what it looks like to be her conversation with Roosie, where the two is clearly in the middle of a fight, to prove the point that they're on bad terms because of the money borrowing issue. I'll tell you exactly what that issue was. So, this whole thing started this one morning where Roosie decided to send Miss Wang a bunch of photos of a particular designer bag, where Roosie has even circled the one that she wanted. And it's like the Hermes Constance. The 20 bands one, by the way, not cheap. I don't know, I feel like that's a gift you should be asking your mom for, not your boss. But from the interaction that we see down the line, I feel like there's a bit of that dynamic going on. Anyways, so then the cameraman was like asking the real questions, like,
他想让你给他买包是吗？
does that mean Roosie sent that so that she wants you to get her the Hermes? And then Miss Wang's like, well, I don't know. All I know is I don't have time for this. Because apparently they were all in a corporate meeting at the time she got the message. And I shit you not, the topic of the meeting that they were all in was, why was Roosie unhappy last week? What was the workplace impact of her unhappiness? And how can we all make Roosie happy? Which, by the way, sounds like the way she's putting it, a regular topic of discussion. What kind of an employee do you have to be for your company to be like, uh-oh, Roosie's unhappy, quick everybody, team meeting? But then what's even crazier is that Miss Mama Wang says, because she was in this what do we do about Roosie meeting, they ignored that Hermes request. So then, Miss Wang continues around and says, apparently Roosie did not appreciate the fact that none of them followed up on this Hermes request. So Roosie ended up buying the bag by herself, and now she broke. Well, she's fancy and broke, she broke hey, you feel me? And then a week later, Roosie hits up Miss Wang again and goes, my grandmother is in the ICU, we don't have money to pay for her treatment, my parents is on vacation, so they're not going to care for her, give me 20 bands for the hospital fee. So of course, Miss Wang was like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to be paying for that, like you gotta ask your parents, it's a family issue, right? And then apparently Roosie responded with, my dad does not have a good relationship with my grandmother, because the dad was like to her, just let the grandma die quickly. So clearly then her parents isn't going to help. I mean, remember what Roosie said, even if they didn't say that, they're literally on vacation. So the 20 grand has to be therefore paid by Roosie. Roosie doesn't have that money, so she's asking Miss Mama Wang for that money. God damn. So after this whole back and forth, Wang Dafa was like, I gotta call Roosie, because what the hell's going on? So she calls Roosie and finds out she's on a train. And the crew was like shocked. Like, so then she asked, like, why are you on a train? Shouldn't you be in the ICU with your grandmother? And Roosie was like, I'm going to Beijing to live stream and make money for her medical bills. Miss Mama feeling a little something. She's like, I'm feeling a little touched I feel like Roosie is like carrying all the burdens by herself. You know what? I'm gonna lend her the freaking money. So after another round of back and forth, the two agrees to meet back at the agency for the finance department to sign off on the loan, okay? Which Roosie was apparently late for because she spent 2 hours going to her ex-boyfriend's place to pick up a portable charger. At this point, Mama's crashing out. Like, your grandmother is in ICU waiting for that 20 grand to save her life. Like, priorities, hello. So a few hours go by and Roosie finally gets there. And it's like past business hours already. So Miss Wang's like, I'm gonna get the head of finance up here so he can run the payroll system and we can pay you 2 months in advance, which would make up the 20,000 RMB, okay? And you can just get the... You know why she said 2 months, by the way? It's because apparently Roosie has already taken 1 month advance in pay earlier this week, and she hasn't settled that yet, so has to be 2 months. So she calls the head of finance in to process the payroll. Now, the head of finance hates Roosie's ass, like literally has her blocked because she would do this all the time, all right? And they would argue every time the head of finance refuses to pay her in advance, you know, from past experiences.
还不到结算的时候，甚至不到上一个结算的时候，意思就是再给他讲一些道理，然后他马上就骂。原话是说：“
我是来这个公司打工的，不是来陪你们创业的。你们拖欠我的工资就应该给我钱。”
就是把财务逼崩溃了，财务就把那个公司跟他签的合同甩在了群里，然后退群了。 然后把他拉黑了，因为真的不想听他说话。
So in order to stay mentally sane, I suppose he just has her blocked. So this time, when the head of finance walks into the room, and I'm quoting Miss Mama right now, she's like reenacting the scene where Roosie does this one big leap over to the head of finance. 2 lines of tears fall down her cheeks, she says. I'm sorry, I'm mentally ill, my grandmother just died. Can you lend me 20k? Miss Wang's like... Because she's like, the key point I immediately grasped was that the grandmother died. So then she starts comforting Roosie, like, do you want me to get you a ticket back home? Like, I'll have administration buy you a ticket back home if you want to take it back home. But then Roosie insists on staying, which is an odd reaction considering if her parents doesn't give a damn about the grandma, then surely Roosie is supposed to be handling the funerals and the preparations, right? Something's alright. Can't outsmart Wang Dafa. So she's like, where did your Hermes Constance go? Let me see the Hermes. Because if you think about it, you would sell your designer item to save the life of your family member, right? Roosie does not skip a beat. It's at home. So Miss Wang's like, I thought you would have sold your bag first before you came to me for money. And Roosie just straight up says, everyone says, as long as I carry Hermes, men will never give me Chanel. You know, because Hermes is like the benchmark now. Miss Wang hears that and she's like, this girl lost. This girl lost. For real. And by this point, she was just like, Roosie, you need to leave, okay? I don't know what the hell is going on with you. You've pissed off the finance team. I can't even tell you for lying about your grandma. And Roosie's like crying, like in tears at this point, just begging for her to give her the 20k. Situation's looking real messy, and then all of a sudden, Roosie snaps out of that, stands up, and just goes, I need to pee, and just leaves to go to the bathroom. Miss Wang's like scared as hell, because apparently Roosie looks like a zombie, first of all, which... They're all like speculating that she took a lot of pills before she came to the agency because her complexion looks really bad as well, and she's acting super weird, right? Very disorganized and all that. So then, after a few minutes, Roosie comes back from the bathroom as if nothing happens because she goes, my grandmother is in ICU, I need the 20 bands. At this point, Wang Dafa was like, get the fuck out. And then from this point onwards, we get a lot more screenshots where it's showing the same thing, just essentially happening over and over again, over text, where Roosie's asking like 500 yen here, 100,000 there. Each time you can never tell if she genuinely needs money to survive, or is she just having one of these episodes, so to speak. Hence leading up to the heated argument we saw at the beginning of this section story. So, take all that information we just went through with you as context, because now is time to get into the real shit. Now, please keep in mind, this segment of the video will be told from Wang Dafa's perspective, which would undoubtedly be delivered in her bias. Now, if Roosie were to ever come forward with her side of the story, I will give it the same treatment and present it from her perspective as well. This is where I need this bad boy right here. Around December 20th, 2025, Miss Wang then gets a text message again from Roosie where she's asking for more money. Now, here's the thing. She's already kind of been getting these on and off, right? As we just mentioned, over the past few months, ever since the grandma incident. But it's always usually a small amount, according to Miss Wang. Like, maybe food money. By this point of the story, just letting you know, Miss Wang just sends the money, knowing the fact that she's getting lied to just so she can get her offer back. But here's a question you might ask, like, what? Are you telling me the fact that Roosie is contracted to an agency like Miss Mama Wang's and she's not even making enough money to survive. That's unusual, right? Well, if that's what you're thinking, Wang Dafai explains, because of Roosie's mental state, it is virtually impossible to train her to steadily conduct business, like streaming for example, because she will just break down halfway. Like, according to her, she will literally break down in tears during training for the most ridiculous reasons, like she doesn't want to sit next to certain people. So, you know, Roosie never really got to the point where she made decent money out of her influencer career. But as per usual, Miss Mama Wang's like, okay, I'ma just wire her the money so she doesn't die on me. But that was apparently a mistake, because according to Miss Wang herself, that was the money directly responsible for these hookup allegations being dropped. You wanna know why? Because Roosie used that money to go to the hospital for Stilnox, so she can get her prescription. So that evening, Roosie takes 20 tablets of Stilnox, starts to go a little crazy. Her mom then walks in on her, sees her doing that, takes the meds away from her and starts to scold her. Now actually in Chinese, while Miss Wang was telling the story, she used the term 狂骂, which if you directly translate, it means cursed her out like crazy. So basically imagine this scenario, you're on mind-altering substances, your parents walk in, goes ballistic and rips you to shreds. And I can only assume, judging by the type of personality we see in Roosie, that probably felt like a panic attack on steroids, so mental well-being takes a hit. But that wasn't the trigger. A few days go by, she recovers from it, does it again, but this time doubles the dosage. 40 tablets of Stilnox. By this point, even the cameraman's like, that's some shit. So then whilst Roosie was experiencing the effects of 40 Stilnox tablets, she texts Miss Wang and she says, "The whole world is against me. My parents don't understand me, and those men, they don't talk to me anymore. They deleted me." And then as she spirals further and further into her episode, we then get this. Okay, just quickly, you know how in the statement we read earlier that the agency tried to stop her? This is that moment. Because right now, at this moment, Miss Wang's like trying to defuse a bomb, asking, what is your plan? And Roosie goes, I want to be free. So then she asks Roosie, what do you mean by free? And Roosie goes, I want to make money. Let's do it together. Let's stream, me and you. And then Miss Wang's like, okay, do you want to scam people? Is that what you're alluding to? And Roosie goes, no, that means I'll be in jail. So then Miss Wang's like, okay, there's still a bit of Roosie left in her. But then by this point, Roosie's already halfway through the entire allegation posting. So then Miss Mama tries to get to the bottom of her motives and asks, why are you exposing people like that? And to that, Roosie replies with, I'm sorry. So just stop, Miss Wang says. And then Roosie's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. So then Miss Wang's like, wait, what? You just, okay, you know what? Fine. What do you want then? And Roosie goes, I want to make money. So at this point, Miss Mama's like, okay, team meeting. We need a solution right now. Deed's already done. She's already posted everything. Message was already out. Already started trending. So let's see what we can cook up to stop more damage. And the solution she came up with at the time is that she thought maybe, you know, she could personally negotiate with the agencies of the celebrities impacted, where Roosie could sign an NDA to never disclose any personal and sensitive information again. And maybe in return, these celebrities could take her on publicity stunts, whether it's reality shows or talk shows, whatever it is, to essentially just try fix their images together, right? It'll be a slow process, but it's what might work. So she was like, bingo, that's the pitch. All right, bring that to Roosie. So they call Roosie, but by now, Roosie's probably gone. She was like, nope, not apologizing, because I didn't do nothing wrong. So Miss Mama Wang's like, okay, let's try a more moral argument. Maybe this will get through to her. These celebrities didn't really do anything wrong to you, right? So you don't really need to try ruin their entire careers like that. And then Roosie goes, I'm sorry. All right, we're going in circles. Great. So then Miss Mama's like, well, you leave me no choice. She makes a decision. You know what it is? Get her. That's what she said. Get her. Fucking savage. Look at that. This is out of fear that Roosie is going to bring more trouble to her door, right? Mama has to cut her loss somehow. So that's the reason why she sued Si Xiao, aka Roosie, to sever that connection for good, whilst legally banning her social media accounts to stop further damage. So then, Miss Wang moves on to the next question. Why does Roosie know so many male celebrities, and were those allegations true? So Miss Mama claims, first of all, as her boss, everything online is true, only in the sense that Roosie does personally know all these idols, but the relationship allegations are not true. Because Miss Mama's like, they're not that easy, okay? So she's basically saying the allegations where Roosie's trying to give off the illusion that they were dating at one point in time is not true. She then names drops Fan Chengcheng and goes, put it this way, if it was that easy, she wouldn't be chasing Fan Chengcheng all these years, and in the end, Fan Chengcheng didn't give her anything beyond pleasantries. But then that raises the question, what about the other guys? I mean, she did clearly get intimate with these other idols, right? How did that happen? And Miss Wang goes, well, this internet celebrity, meaning Roosie, that I signed, let's just say I signed her because she clearly has certain qualifications to be signed. Firstly, she's from Beijing Film Academy, which is the top film school. That's pretty neat. And then she's like, secondly, without stuttering, she asks her team, be honest now, do you admit that she's got assets? Female colleagues was like, I don't know about that. And then cameraman was like, oh, I see the point you're making.
你作为他的同事，你承不承认他童颜巨乳长得还可以？我不承认啊。
我承认，我承认。
And then Miss Wang goes, you know why she gets male attention? It's because she would always use that to her advantage, get super close to you, press it against you, and it doesn't even matter if you have a girlfriend or not, she will just do it. And then she gives an example, like the other cameraman has a girlfriend, she does it to him anyways, and she allegedly uses this same trick on male celebrities. So because she does not have any boundaries, it is therefore easy for men to get close, vice versa. She then drops one other piece of evidence and goes, you know that message she had with Si Xiao? By the way, that's the guy we talked about last episode who blocked her after she asked him for milk tea. Now this is a Lipo gossip right here, because Roosie is actually Si Xiao's girlfriend's best friend. That's why she knows him. So Miss Mama Wang's like, well, will you accept your friend messaging your boyfriend every day, saying stuff like, what are you doing? Want to come out? Buy me milk tea? Of course not. So bro blocked her for a good reason, because she has no boundaries. But now the internet's calling him stingy. Okay, now the final question Miss Mama Wang addresses, the reason why all the celebrities, they don't sue her is because if you talk to Roosie, then she would often plant this idea into your head that she is mentally unstable. Well, obviously she is, but she would find an excuse to bring it up in every single conversation. Like in this screenshot where Wang Dafa and Roosie last spoke, right? We can see right here, if we just take a closer look. She mentions it, we don't need to contact each other again because my mental illness hasn't healed yet. So I suppose more often than not, she will mention it, not out of spite or anything trying to get you. It's just purely she will mention it. Okay, so the impression that gives to everybody who somewhat knows her is that you don't want to be fucking with her. Because if you sue her and really screw up her life and she unalives herself because of that, that will be on you. So Miss Wang then ends the video with a few points saying that I can't stop her, but I can finish what I started because she was the one who kind of brought her into the industry. She also sincerely apologizes for all the drama Si Xiao has caused. She states that she made the video out of her own will. Everything she said is true. I mean, why would she say otherwise? And then she adds this final statement. If any PR agencies are still holding grudges, welcome to sue her together. Have a good day. What I feel like is Wang Dafa always knew that Roosie was a ticking time bomb, which is really good in her case as a manager, because if you think about it, she could leverage her connections to get Roosie higher and higher so that one day when Roosie explodes, she can be the one who quote-unquote diffuses the situation and saves the internet. Hence why she would sink so much time and effort into maintaining Roosie. That's, in my opinion, the only plausible explanation. But as for this story itself, it seems like the credibility is there. It's just more of a moral issue that she's going to this extent to punish someone who clearly needs help mentally. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next week.